What's going on, my good people? This your boy, Life Up the Entertainer, here to bring you the official SIAC tier list. This was a lot to grade. I know I've been sitting on it for a while, but hey, like I've been saying in these past videos, it's better late than never. But I wanted to get this done. This is going to be the last tier list I'll be able to do this season. But hopefully next season I'll be able to prep myself a little bit better than what I did this season. It's a learning curve to get every other HBCU tier list going, got there as well. But I was able to get the SWAC meek, and here we at the SIAC tier list. Okay, there was a lot of bands in this tier list, so it was a whole lot to grade. It was a whole lot to grade, for real, for real. So, it's one of those moments that I just be like, wow, can't believe we finally here. Alright, so before we get started in this tier list, there was one band I was not able to capture or get their logo at all, so I don't know if they even functioning right now, but Spring Hill College. There's no footage, no logo, no nothing, so I know I got all these other bands here, but I haven't got them, but no footage, no logo. So that's just an honorable mention at this point. So, for people who was wondering about Spring Hill, I brought it up. So, but there's a total of 13 bands I had to grade in this division, and that was a lot to grade, okay? So, but what we're going to be grading, we're going to be grading the best season, all right? Who had the best season, all right? So, if we want to look at the best season, Albany is definitely in the top category when it comes down to season. Albany definitely put on a lot of push this season. They did. Their pen game is there. Their field shows improved over time. It was interesting to watch their season. I feel like Albany had the best season out of all these bands, but I'm going to still rank all these other bands as well. They were just on top of the list, but you kind of get what I'm getting at. So we look at Benedict. Benedict had a good season overall. I'm going to put them at A tier. Okay. Benedict definitely had a couple battles here and there, but I'm definitely going to put them in A tier. They did feel it really good. When we look at Central State, they definitely held their own. I enjoyed watching Central State, and they improved as well. I'm going to put them at A tier as well. I'm going to put them right under Benedict. When we look at Clark Atlanta, okay, they didn't have such a great season. They didn't have such a great season, but they were very entertaining, and believe it or not, this was one of the few bands that been able to pretty much go against majority of these bands. I was able to catch majority of the footage from majority of these bands. Clark actually went against a lot of bands, so I gotta give Clark their flowers though. But as far as season wise, I'm gonna give them a B tier. When we look at Edward Waters, they only had one battle that I was able to capture, and I'm just going to put them in not enough battles category. I just think that's because a lot of bands didn't travel to them, or they wasn't able to travel to the other bands. So I'm just going to put them in a not enough battles categories. Fort Valley, they had a very eventful season, very fair, even season. If I was to cut it down the middle, I'm going to really put them in A tier. It was interesting to see them, I'm going to put them right under Central State. I feel like Central State was just a tad bit stronger. People might get in their feelings when I say that, but it's really true. But I think Fort Valley is pretty strong when it comes down to things, but, when we look at other attributes, we'll talk about that as well, okay? When we look at Kentucky State, I'm going to put them at C tier. Well, under the Clark Atlanta, they had two battles, and that was all I was able to grade from them. Nothing else. So I was just kind of like, I had two things from them, but at least I got something from them. I kind of wish there was more that they could have brought to the table as well, but I guess they had a lot of away games this season, so wasn't able to capture as much as I should have for this band this year, but that's okay. for 2024. When we look at Lamar Owens College, I just was not able to catch anything from them. They put something out recently, but that's not what I was grading. It was more so of a performance highlighting their season coming up. But I didn't get no footage from them this past season, okay? But I can tell that they try to step up in the footage department this upcoming year, so I can't wait to see what they're going to bring, okay? So I'm excited about them. When we look at Lane College definitely put in a lot of work this season, but they definitely need some help when it comes down to battles. And I wasn't able to catch any fifth quarters, but I was able to catch a lot of field show battles with this band, and that's one of the weaknesses as far as this season is concerned. So I'm going to put them at C tier, all right? I'm going to put them right under Kentucky State. When we look at Miles College, all right? When we look at Miles is an interesting band to look at. I enjoyed watching this band. I'm going to put them right under Fort Valley. Right under Fort Valley. And only reason why, well, no, I lied. I'm going to put them right above Fort Valley. Because Miles really do put on some stuff in their field. They really do good in that field, and their book is there. They kind of like tied, if I can say that, but they kind of correspond with each other. Like, one is stronger in the field, real strong in the field, than one's not too strong on the field. All right, when we look at Morehouse, I'm going to put them at C tier. I'm going to put them over Kentucky. Definitely was one of those bands that, you know, I feel like as if they needed to do more, but they had more battles, but definitely some improvement, you know, but they high C tier. High C tier. When we look at Tuskegee, I'm going to put them at S tier. That definitely had a good season. They had a great season. I got to give that to them. They traveled a lot. Very eventful season for them. I was able to get a lot of footage from this band, and they was able to, you know, go toe-to-toe with a lot of these bands and hold their own, you know. So I really like Tuskegee. So I'm going to put them at S tier. When we look at Savannah State, I was able to catch one battle with them, and that was pretty much it. So, well, no, two battles, actually. So I was able to catch two battles because I got that one from Clark. I'm going to put them over Morehouse. So that's what we're going to stand at. But this, to me, ladies and gentlemen, this is my official seasonal record for 2024. Who had the best season. So again, Albany State had the best one to me. Second goes to Tuskegee, and third goes to Benedict. Underneath that, we got Central and that. So, you know, we the week, ladies and gentlemen, but this is the official. But we got other things to grade, so stick tight. We not done. We got other subcategories. We got who had the most power, who had the best songs, who had the best field shows, who was the cleanest band, who had the best songs, who was the most improved, what was the best battles of the season, and we have improvements. So sit tight. We got more to grade. All right. So now we in the most power category. So same thing like before. If I was able to catch footage from this band, if they would be in this tier list. If not, they'd just be in the default no footage category. But Lamar Owens still is going to be in the no footage area. When it comes down to Edward Waters, I wouldn't say that they really based off of power, and I didn't really see them too much on the in fifth, but I'm gonna put them in C tier when it comes down to that. Definitely has something going on with that, but I'm gonna put them in C tier. We look at Savannah State. Savannah State has a little bit of power to them. So I really enjoyed looking at this band. So I'm going to put them at A tier. they definitely have some power when it comes down to them. I really enjoy watching them. Kentucky State. Kentucky State is pretty rounded. They have some power to them as well. I'm gonna put them at. I'm gonna put them right under Savannah State when it comes down to power. Just right under, but it's still strong. I just feel like if I would have got more footage from them, I would be able to justify that. But Savannah State just had more footage, and I just think Savannah State has a well-rounded power sound. Okay. Now again, ladies and gentlemen, these bands are built a little different, so every band kind of moves in a different pace. So when we look at Lane College is a fairly small band, but they definitely have a little bit of power. So I'm gonna put them at low C tier. Morehouse, they have a clean sound, but they have just a little bit of power. I'm gonna put them over Lane College. When we look at Clark Atlanta, they're fairly even. I'm gonna put them over Morehouse. They kind of even around the board. That's an all-around band. Power. When we look at Albany, I'm gonna put Albany at A tier over Savannah, definitely. Fort Valley. We look at Fort Valley when it comes down to power. They actually one of the strongest bands when it comes down to power, so I'm gonna put them at S tier. When it comes down to Central State, they actually have some power to them as well. I'm gonna put them under Fort Valley. Miles College. Miles College definitely is one of the strongest bands in the SIAC when it comes down to power, and I'm gonna put them over Fort Valley. All right. When we look at Benedict, this season, I can say that they're fairly even, but I can say that they're stronger than Savannah. So we can say they're over Savannah. All right. When we look at Tuskegee, Tuskegee is fairly strong. I'm going to put them right above Savannah. All right above Savannah. But this is the official power tier list of 2024 for the SIAC division. All right, moving on. I would add this as well, just to put on your conscience. If y'all ever want to participate and give your tier list below, please be welcome to. But again, ladies and gentlemen, this is my opinion, so I'm putting my opinion. But please post your opinion down low, but don't bash your boy for my opinion, okay? Alrighty, so moving on. We're gonna be grading who had the best songs. The best songs. Alright. Who had the best songs of this season? Alrighty. So, best songs, I can say Clark definitely improved when it comes down to the song category. When I saw them go against Morehouse definitely had a good pen. But when it comes down to songs, I'm going to put Clark at A tier. You know, Clark really shocked me close to the end of the season. They did. They definitely did. And it was very entertaining just to see what they would pull out. And it was one of them, you know. When we look at Edward Waters, when it comes down to songs, I only got a chance to really appreciate their songs on the field. But they was able to switch up all the songs on the field show, and I could tell that they definitely have a strong pen, you know. But I'm gonna put them at B tier. I just wish I was able to catch a fifth quarter with them, and I've been able to decipher where they really truly land. But I'm gonna put them at B tier. On Morehouse, songs, yeah, they got a good song. They got some good songs. They definitely do, and their pen game is crucial, ladies and gentlemen. The pen game is crucial, and I gotta give it to Morehouse. You know, a lot of people don't give them their flowers, but they really got a strong pen game. I would just say execution has to be their main thing for them. So I'm gonna put them over Clark. Uh, when we look at Albany, Albany has a great pen, great song selection. Have nothing to really worry about with that band. I'm putting them at S tier. Lane College. I did not really get a chance to really capture any fifth quarter footage with them at all, and a lot of their field shows were recycled. A lot of them were recycled from the footages I was able to capture. So I'm gonna put them at C tier. It's based off of songs, so they just at the bottom when it comes down to that, and it's just some improvement. Benedict College. We're talking about songs. We're gonna put them at S tier. Their pen is crucial. Everything about that is crucial. You know, that band, yeah. Yeah. Keeping it 100 with you to the max. Benedict definitely is up there. Alright, when we talk about songs, Kentucky State, I will put them over Edward Waters. Well, no, I lied. I'm gonna put them under Edward Waters because they was able to just get two. I was able to get two, but they definitely have a strong pen game. But I definitely think I really hope that I can get some more footage from them this upcoming season. I think that's kind of holding them back in this tier list as well. Tuskegee. When we look at Tuskegee for best songs, I'm gonna give Tuskegee an A. I'm gonna put them slightly over Clark. They got a strong song selection. They have a lot of throwbacks, a real good throwback category. I definitely think they're stronger than Clark when it comes down to that. Central State. Central State really showed me something. At first, I thought that was a band that kind of needed help, but when I saw them go against Clark, I see how well they improved on their pen. Even though I was able to capture two battles, in one battle they didn't really have their book all together, but that second battle I was able to capture, I got a chance to really see, and even on the field. So I'm going to put them at S tier. Really, really good. Really, really good. All right. We look at Fort Valley. Fort Valley definitely has a great pen. As far as songs is concerned, I enjoyed watching this band a lot throughout the season. I'm gonna put them over Central State, simply because they were able to stay consistent for the majority with their songs, and they have a big variety. Now, that was one thing I kind of criticized them at first, but they definitely improved on that over time. Okay, Savannah State. I got a chance to really capture just one battle and a couple field show footages for them. And their songs are pretty straightforward, but some songs were kind of recycled as well. But they got a good pen game. I'm going to put them under, as far as songs is concerned, I'm going to put them under Clark this season. When we look at Miles definitely pushed the ante when it comes down to songs and their presentation. They didn't really wow me on the field when it comes down to songs because majority of that was recycled through this season. But I was able to say that they definitely have a good, strong pen game in that fifth. They fifth are very strong. So I'm going to give them that over Fort Valley. But this is my official tier list of who had the best songs for the season. Alrighty. We're going to go into who had the best field shows of the season. Okay? For people who are not band heads, this is what counts to them. Sometimes they don't have to see the fifth quarter. Sometimes seeing the halftime is what counts. And I'm going to say this again. Halftime does matter, ladies and gentlemen. Halftime is very important, and it's a good way to market your band. And if your halftime is not what it needs to be, then you got to do something about it. All right. So we're gonna say not enough. We're gonna put this as C tier here. We're gonna take that away. All right. So with that being said, let's get to it. Benedict. When it comes down to field shows, they really showed out this season. They definitely did. And to me, this is one of the top bands of the season. You know, this is really one of the top bands of the season for field shows. So I'm going to give it to Benedict for S tier. All right. Kentucky State, I was able to capture 2 field show footages from them. And so I can say that they have strong field shows. They do. So I'm going to put them at B tier. Okay? Even though I was able to capture 2, they were both different and they were both entertaining. So I'm going to give them B tier. We look at Albany. Okay? Albany has improved on that field a lot. Okay? When I got a chance to really watch them this season and really uncap it, I'm going to give them S tier. Okay? When we look at Miles College, they definitely improved over time when it came down to the field. One thing I liked about them is that they do a death march coming off onto the field, okay? And they is able to build around that field show like that. And I really enjoyed that from them, so I'm going to put them at S tier as well. Would I say that they're better than Albany? That's kind of coincide with each other on the field. But if I was to have my, drink and, eat quietly, I would say Albany's stronger than Miles because Albany switch up their field shows more than Miles. Miles had more recycled field shows than Albany. That's not me picking on Miles or anything like that, but I just think Albany was more straightforward. Benedict had a different field shows all the way around. They wasn't really the same. When we look at Lane College, they definitely need help in their department. They kind of stick out like a sore thumb when it comes down to the field show, and they definitely need help. Definitely need help in that department. So I'm going to give them a C and for the season for that. Okay, they got to work on that. When we look at Edward Waters, I was able to capture a lot of field show footage from them, and they really showcased their capabilities on the field. When we look at Edward Waters, I'm going to put them at S tier. I'm going to put them over Miles College. Okay? I think Edward Waters is just slightly better than Miles. Okay? And the reason why is because they was able to stay consistent on the field, and they had a better song selection on the field as well, and it was different. It wasn't recycled. Okay? We look at Morehouse. Morehouse is definitely strong. I'm going to put them at A tier. They definitely improved on the field from what I can tell, but they need some stuff to work on as well. And I think that's what's kind of holding them back some. I feel like if they can really work on consistency on the field for the majority of their season, then I think they'll be even stronger. I just think they kind of had some hiccups this season on the field, and I feel like that's what kind of holding them back. But I'm putting them at a strong A tier. Fort Valley, they definitely had some hit and misses on the field. Me personally, I'm going to put them right over Morehouse. Okay, right over Morehouse simply because they had some stronger field shows than Morehouse. They did. And they was able to bring out more out of the band, on the field with their book on the field. Okay. We look at Tuskegee. Tuskegee. When it comes down to field show, I didn't get too much footage from them, but I got just enough. And what I would say is that they are very strong on the field, so I'm gonna put them over Fort Valley. One thing I like about Tuskegee is that they really bring the intensity on the field and they're consistent. Okay, that's one thing I want to highlight. When we look at Savannah State, okay, Savannah State was an interesting band to look at. I enjoyed watching this band. Definitely hit hard in the category as far as entertainment is going and showing. So I'm gonna put them over Miles College. very strong, very strong band. Um, there was some recycled field shows from what I was looking at, but they was able to bring the heat over Miles. Okay, when we look at Clark Atlanta, this is one of the bands that has definitely improved the most out of majority of these bands on the field, and I'm going to give them A tier. Okay, definitely is very strong. I'm going to put them over Tuskegee. Okay, Clark definitely can put on a show. They definitely can if everything goes right for them. But I just think sometimes they kind of play with their food sometimes, and they lose that push. Okay, when we look at Central State, I'm gonna put Central State. I'm gonna put them right above Clark. Okay, right above Clark, and the reason why is because Central State really utilized their field shows right. I mean, like, look, I'm gonna tell you, interesting field show to look from Central State is look at their homecoming. They put on a clinic on that field, man. That was entertaining, you know, and that's what gave them over. I'm gonna give them an 8, and I still remember that field show because that was a clean field show. Like, it was very entertaining. So definitely look up that video if you can. They went against I had them going against Kentucky State, and Central was just stronger. All right, when we look at Allen University, I know I haven't been able to add them in earlier, but now we're here now. But when we look at Allen University, on the field, I'm gonna put them. I'm gonna put them C tier, but I'm gonna put them over. Yeah, I'm gonna put them over. No, yeah, over Lane. I'm gonna put them low B tier. Low B tier. All right. So this is the official field show rating for this season. All right. Benedict is first place. Second place, I'm giving it to Albany. Third place, I'm giving it to Edward Waters. All right. Moving on. Who had the best sound? Who was the cleanest band of the season? All right. Now, when we look at clean, that kind of determines on what that band brings to the table. But we are talking about overall sound and what they project. Okay. And having a strong pen game definitely complements that with the song selection. But we want to know who was consistently clean majority of the season. Okay. That's what we want to know. All right. So, when we look at Allen, we're going to put them at C tier. I'm going to put them at B tier. B tier. I'm going to put them at B tier. I was able to just catch 2 footages of them. They went against Miles, and I got a chance to see them go against Edward Waters. Like I said, I just think that they strong. They strong. They just need to make sure that they really utilize their book when it comes down to fifth. But more so, they have a strong sound, but it's clean for overall. But they just have to really play with the instruments. But I'm gonna give them a B. Lane College, they definitely are good for the majority, but I'm gonna put them at C tier. And I know people be like, "Oh my gosh, you are coming for Lane College." I'm not coming from none of these bands. This is coming from the heart. I'm giving it raw, honest from the hip. Okay, and I could lie and say that they're S tier, but they definitely need some help in that department. They do. When we look at Kentucky State, I'm gonna put them over Allen. I just think Kentucky's definitely stronger than Allen University when it comes down to sound. Central State, I'm gonna give them A tier. As far as sound and cleanness overall, sounds clean. I'm gonna give them an A tier. When we look at Clark Atlanta, definitely something that they have to work on in some departments. I think that's one thing that kind of holds them back some. So I'm going to put them right over Kentucky State. I'm going to put them in B tier when it comes down to sound and overall cleanliness. Tuskegee is fairly strong, and they've been able to really hold their own. I'm going to put them at A tier, right under Central State. Very strong band when it comes down to that. When we look at Fort Valley, one thing that kind of holds them back is the department of them kind of pushing forward is when they're in fifth quarter. They definitely got the book, but sometimes they kind of overdo it, if that makes sense. So I'm going to put them at low A tier. All right. When we look at Morehouse, Morehouse has a clean sound, but they definitely fumbled the bag this season, staying consistent, being clean. So I'm going to put them under, right under Clark Atlanta. When we look at Savannah State, definitely had a hiccup when I saw that one battle with them in Tuskegee, but when I was able to look at the majority of their field shows, they was able to stay consistently clean. And I'm going to put them right above Clark Atlanta, just right above Clark. All right. When we look at Miles College is definitely one of those bands that has power, but they definitely struggle on trying to stay consistently clean because there are some people who are trying to outdo each other in that band, especially. Okay. So I'm going to put them at B tier. I mean, I seen Miles College in a real smackdown in the beginning of the season of 2024 when they went against Alabama State. So you can only imagine how that video went. Okay? So, but definitely I'm going to put them at B tier when it comes down to that. But still clean band. I just think that it's something that needs to be worked on a little bit more. Okay? When we look at Edward Waters, very clean sound, very direct sound. I'm going to put them over Miles. We look at Albany. I know the first time I got a chance to see Albany, they have a very, 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 very strong sound power that is there. When we also talk about, cleanness, they definitely got that. So I'm going to put them right above Central State. Right above Central State when it comes down to that. We talk about Benedict College. Benedict College is one of those bands that they stay consistent with their sound. They definitely stay consistent with that sound. And, I think that this band never ceased to amaze me with their pen, etc. So I'm going to put them at A tier, okay? Right above Albany, okay? But, week, ladies and gentlemen, this is the official sound / clean, who had the best clean sound this season of 2024. Number 1 is Benedict, 2 is Albany State, and then number 3 we got Central State. All right, moving on. Now we're gonna look at, these are the extra categories I would say for the season. So sit tight. This is just for the extra areas we want to touch on. When we look at the most improved bands this season, all right, I'm only going to name a couple, but definitely the most improved, okay? We talk about a small improvement, when we say small improvement and it just they filled out the cracks and everything works out, and I wouldn't say that they were just overly looked at, but they filled out the cracks later on, I got to give it to Clark Atlanta. Okay? Clark definitely showcased where a band can struggle, but they can really improve over time. And I got to give it to Clark. Clark definitely improved. They surprised me this season, and they definitely put up a fight a lot this season. And they had the most eventful season. But they definitely improved the most out of all these bands. They improved the most. As far as improvement is concerned as well, me looking at outside in this, I'm going to say Allen. Allen definitely surprised me a tad bit. I'm going to put them at B tier. When I saw them go against Miles, even though I didn't see their fifth, but when I saw them go against Miles, they field show needed some help. But for me to see them go toe-to-toe with Edward Waters, and they very strong on the field, You know, I gotta give it to Allen. Allen definitely improved. They showed me a little something, something. You know, they're like, hey, we got it, we got it. And also, what I would say, the last improved, I'm gonna put them up there too. I want to give it to Central State. Even though I was able to just see two battles out of them, and well, yeah, two battles and some change. Well, no, I lied, three. From what I can gather, when I saw them go against Albany State for the first time, they definitely needed to work on their book, and they was already strong on the field. So didn't have to really worry about them on the field, but that book, oh my gosh, they surprised me when they went against Clark. That's all I got to say. They surprised me when they went against Clark. That's all I got to say. Like, they pulled out some stuff. I was like, all right. That's all I needed to see. So, yeah, definitely improved in that book. So, moving on. Now we're looking at the best battles of 2024. What were the best battles to look at? What was entertaining to look at? Alright, I'm going to name 4 of them because I was able to capture a lot of battles in this. A lot. And there's no common denominator either. Alright, so that's what kind of makes this even more fun. But one of the best battles this season is going to be Albany versus Fort Valley. Those two were going head to head, like, you know. It was like, yeah, let's get it in, man. We let's ring this bell. Let's go ahead and go. That was one of them. So I was like, yeah, that's crucial. That was crucial. All right. So I gotta give them that. That was an entertaining battle. All right. Second place, I would say entertaining battles for the season. All right. I'm gonna have to give it to Clark versus Morehouse. That was very entertaining. That's one of that battle surprised me when I clicked on it, and when I graded it, I was like, whoa, you know. So it was very entertaining to watch that battle. Clark really showed up on that, you know, and they pen improved. Everything was about that battle was crucial. It was up close in your face, all that. So yeah, I gotta give it to them on that. We look at B. Okay, when we look at B, all right, who made it? Who was the third place as far as battle is concerned? I'm gonna give it to Central State versus Kentucky State. All right, that was entertaining. It really was. Really was entertaining. I gotta give it to them. You know, for the majority, I enjoyed it. I definitely did. It definitely had its moments in it. But these two were really going in, even though they didn't have a fifth quarter. We're talking about field show. Okay? Straight field show. And these two was going at it, and it was entertaining. Okay? So I definitely enjoyed watching that. Third place, we got Tuskegee versus Miles. Alright? Even though I wasn't able to catch field show footage, but the fifth quarter, those two was definitely bumping heads for the majority. Okay? Even though one kind of had the upper hand, but that's still a good watch. But these are the official battles to watch. C, S, A, B, and C. Though S, A, B, and C, those are the best battles of 2024. Okay? In the SIAC division. Okay? Alrighty, this is the improvement section of this tier list, and what I would like to see from these bands in the future. Alright. So when we talk about what we want to see improved, okay, when we look at Benedict College, I was able to capture some battles from them. I was able to see a lot of their field shows. And their book and pen is pretty much direct. So I would say they have nothing to truly work on. Alright? When it comes down to Lane College, they definitely need a lot of work on the field show, their book, and them being clean. That's not me bashing them, but I just think they need a lot of help in that department. Now, granted, I have not been able to see a fifth quarter, but from what I was gathering from them, I want to be surprised this upcoming season from this band. I have a lot of anticipation that they can do a lot. They do. I just think they just need to make sure they get the right type of structure to really boost that band ongoing. Okay. When we look at Edward Waters, very, very good on the field show. Very, very good on the field show. I would want them to be more involved overall in them just staying consistent. Now, one thing I would want to see them do is have a fifth quarter. So I'm going to say they need more work on the book, simply because I have not been able to see them do anything outside of that. I will want them to work on the book more, but I want to see what their fifth quarter is like. So I'm going to say nothing for right now. Just stay consistent, but hopefully I can see them do more in their book. Okay? We look at Allen University. They did some improvement on the field. They definitely did. I got to give it to Allen. Even though it was just one thing, but it was still cool to look at for that band. I would say that I would want them to work on all three, simply because and it needs to be more direct. Field show needs to be a tad bit cleaner, even though it was clean at the end. We look at, book and all that good stuff being clean overall. I just think that, it can be better, because when they went against Miles, one of the issues they came across is that the arrangements were short because of the band, and also they was not utilizing the instrument play in a different way as far as the arrangement. That's just me personally. All right. When we go down to Miles College, they definitely struggled on the field at first, and they kind of skated through the season, but they got better, stronger at the tail end. So I give them that. But one thing I would definitely want to see them improve on the most is their book. And the reason why is because there are people in that band that try to outdo themselves. And I get that y'all big band. Y'all have the power because of the size. But when you come down to you putting in the effort to, showcase, don't have band members outdo each other. Don't do that. It sounds bad, so. And I think another thing too, song selection is everything too. They're able to pull it out every now and then, but sometimes I think that kind of hurts them as well. So I would really want them to dig down deep in that book this coming season. When we look at Tuskegee, I'm going to give them. I would like to see them do a little bit more on the field, but they definitely showcase that they strong on the field as well. So I can say they're pretty even on that, but also I really want them to improve on their book some more. Just a tad bit more, and I think they'll be strong all the way around. Okay, I know when they went against Miles, that was one thing that was having a hard time trying to get over on them. They could have had a perfect season because of that. Now, granted, they did improve. They definitely improved when it was close to the end. I wish they would have had that same intensity, but I definitely want them to continue to stay consistent with them on their book. So stay consistent on it. Don't lose it. When it comes down to Kentucky State, for the majority, their field shows are pretty straightforward. I was not able to see anything when it comes down to their book at all. So I would say I would want to see more footage from them when it comes down to that. So, I would like to see them work on their book. Hopefully they have some battle, so I'm going to give them an exemption in this category, but definitely needs to be more involved this upcoming season. When we look at Central State, their presence, was definitely there. Field shows, they have that oomph already. When it comes down to their book, they definitely improved over time. What I would like to see them do to seal the deal is them just continue to work on their book, let it expand, and I would want them to just have it all that close in the beginning. I want them to come in slapping people in the face this upcoming season. I really do. Central got it, so I'm gonna put them. They just need just a tad bit more work on the book. When we look at Savannah State, it's kind of a trend in this division because this is one of those divisions that a lot of people don't get enough footage for. But it's definitely some underrated talent out here, in this division. So Savannah State, I'm gonna say, their book is pretty much straightforward. Their field shows are pretty straightforward. I would just say they just need to just stay consistent. Just overall, just stay consistent. When we look at Clark Atlanta, they did a lot of improvement the whole entire season. Definitely did a whole lot of improving. One thing I liked about this band to see was that you can see the growth at the end of the season. You really could, especially in the field and on the field. You can see the growth from this band. What I would like to see them do better, I would want them to just really dive in deep and work on both the most. Just staying clean, being consistent. I would want them to just work on both. And this is just constructive criticism. Just because you're up there doesn't mean that that's a good or a bad thing. This is stating. This is just facts. Okay? But, like I said, they did the most improvement. I just want them to stay consistent on working on that. If they can stay working on a book and they field show, I think they'll be stronger. Okay? If they can keep their momentum that they had at the end of the season into the upcoming season. All right, when we look at Morehouse, one of the things that they had a problem with is the field show. They have some issues in the step-off division. Just stepping off and, doing that side step with your body straight with the trumpets. You know how y'all do that. They have a hard time with that. I will also add, in the fifth quarter, I was able to catch them at their strongest when it went against Clark. They did. I was able to catch them at their strongest, but I seen them at their weakest too. So, yes, they did improve, but I feel like it could be better in the beginning of the season. We won't have no hiccups. Hey, we up there, So, I'm putting them right there next to Clark. Just saying. Albany State, I have no complaints. I just want them to stay consistent. They stay consistent, they good, man. They straight. Fort Valley, only thing I would say I would really want them to really truly work on is their book. Not their book, but their field show. The field show needs help. 8 to 5 is an issue for them. If they can really work on it 8 to 5, I can really see them just getting that top position that they deserve. They definitely have the presence. I just think that some stuff needs to definitely be worked on. But this is how I feel about what needs to be improved for these bands this upcoming season. Of course, Lemoyne needs to be down there because they don't have no footage or nothing like that. And, we talked about Spring Hill earlier. So, hey, if I can get some footage and have more of a presence and have been more involved overall, I can really put them on this tier list on a setting, But that's just me personally. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is my honest opinion. So please do not bash your boy for what I'm bringing to you. But that's my verdict, ladies and gentlemen. That's all it. Cut, paste, and dry. Okay? So with that being said, man, I'm finna get up out of here, man. Like I tell you always. Deuces.